what you said about Mr. Green back in Quantum was that the movie would have been more streamlined if he had been combined with Vesper's boyfriend. I disagreed back then, but now what you said back then applies here, where C kind of has this overall feeling of he should be the main bad guy, but he's not. And so he ends up just being secondary. It should have just been the one bad guy. I'll take it a step further, though, and say that if you were going to do this thing where it's like, okay, Blofeld can't be somebody who's in the British government. I said last episode that the woman who was like the mistress of something.
Yeah. The person that's like in the front and
who's grilling M.
You'll forgive me for not putting up the bunting.
She should have been C, or Andrew Scott should have been that character. Either way, it should have been the same person, because the whole time watching Skyfall, I'm like, why is this chick so bloodthirsty for M's head and for the 00 section? Well, wouldn't it have just made sense that she would have been Spectre and or Quantum, and that she would then, her character would have continued on as C in this movie? Then it would have been like, oh my God, back in Skyfall, she was representing Blofeld trying to destroy them.
It's as if you insist on pretending we still live in a golden age of espionage.
You must know by now that the 00 program is officially dead.
I disagree with that idea only because I think her character was more supposed to be a politician, where I think C is meant to be more inside the, it would be like saying,
Because you watch Skyfall and you just go, this is just a politician trying to get political points. But then in Spectre, it's like, oh, she was working for Blofeld. No wonder she's trying to kill the 00 section.
Then you can connect all those things.
Because C comes out of nowhere. Whereas if C was that person who was the person grilling M, it at least would have been like, oh, that's why they were so ruthless. Okay. Sure. Then on top of that, you could put Blofeld, because Blofeld informed Skyfall. Again, breadcrumbs. Instead, you don't have anything. C comes out of nowhere and Blofeld comes out of nowhere.
Right. Let me lay out my Blofeld crap real quick. Okay. Specifically, the Blofeld reveal. Just his reveal. Just him saying, my name is Ernest. My name is Ernest. Ernst Stravos Blofeld. It's the most meta the film ever
three
gets.
Three names you just can't pronounce.
I can't pronounce any of them. It is the equivalent to Star Trek Into Darkness, where Cumberbatch reveals he's actually been Khan this whole time. Like, it's a huge revelation, but no one in universe cares. They're like, who? If you were in that universe, you wouldn't care. But the movie plays it off like it's, oh my gosh, this guy's Blofeld.
Consul Bowser died 20 years ago, James, in an avalanche alongside his father. The man you're talking to now is Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
Catchy name.
The audience is like, ooh, but in canon, in situ,
in the story,
within the
universe,
nobody cares or knows.
Either my fix or like what I would have said is like if Blofeld was name dropped in a previous film, or they were actually looking for Blofeld in this movie leading up to the end of the movie, they didn't know who Blofeld was, and then maybe they did some sort of bait and switch, and Opperhauser was actually not Blofeld, it was really C, or they weren't so overt about Christoph Waltz being Blofeld in the movie with the cat and all that stuff. If they weren't so overt with it for the fans, then reveal it to be Blofeld, it might have worked. Yet to hide the character's name just for the fans, because this is exactly what they did for Star Trek Into Darkness. They told people, oh no, Cumberbatch isn't playing Khan, he's playing some character named John, whatever. I don't remember what it was. And then the movie is like, my name is Khan. And you're like, I know who that is, but why is that a big deal for everybody in the movie?
Am I supposed to be impressed?
I think we're meant to be impressed.
You're pandering to me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He could have just been John, and he would have been a better character. But now you're treating me like I'm an idiot by being like, Khan.
My name is Khan.
Ernst Stavro Blofeld, and all the stupid people freak out. You can't just reference. You have to earn. You have to develop. You have to characterize. It's insulting.
There's a part of me as I watch this movie, it feels like C was intentionally going to be the main villain in somebody's script.
Yes.
And then they were like, they just shoved in this plot They're like, let's shove in Spectre. Do I have a book? Do I have Thunderball? Let's shove in Thunderball.
They literally
into
doubled
this,
everything.
The script.
They doubled everything. It was like, okay, we have C and we have Blofeld. We have CNS, the building, and we have the Moroccan Desert Information Center, right? 2 bad guys, 2 information centers, which screams that it was one script that they were just like, double everything and throw in Blofeld.
In my head, would have made this movie way better is if they had mentioned Blofeld, like he learned who's the head of Spectre, but not revealing that it's Franz.
Yeah.
And maybe even keeping that brother plot, but leading the audience into a direction thinking, oh, Franz is actually Blofeld or something along those lines. Or it's like he really thinks Franz is Blofeld and he's about to kill him. And then you find out that C has been actually Blofeld this whole time. Like, I think that would have been a better reveal. Again, that actor, Andrew Scott, could have been a good Blofeld as well because he had already played Moriarty in Sherlock, which was also just an equally menacing
It's
arch
obviously
nemesis
why
for
they
Bond.
cast him, because they chased trends
Exactly.
and they're like, this worked, so let's bring him over here.
Yeah.
My fix would have been, give us flashbacks. Bond has never had flashbacks, but if you're going to do this whole thing of Bond's childhood, give us some flashbacks so we have some context. If we had flashbacks, that would have made returning to Skyfall all the more meaningful rather than contrived. Talked about that last episode. It also would have established why Bond chose the path of good and Blofeld the path of bad or evil. But instead, all we get is this one very quick, very lazy explanation.
This cuckoo made me realize my father's life had to end. In a way, he's responsible for the path I took. So thank you, cuckoo.
We know why Silva went bad. Silva used to be like Bond and then he went bad. We know why, because of his whole Cain and Abel relationship with M.
It was you who betrayed me.
But why not Bond? Why didn't Bond choose evil?
Why become criminal?
If we don't see him hanging out with Blofeld's dad, basically that would give us some context as to why Bond chose good. Think of James Bond. He's an orphan. His parents died. He's bitter at the world. He's probably bitter at existence, God, call it what you want, that his parents were robbed from him. He's very likely to turn into a criminal. So then what does he have? He has this father figure in Hans Oberhauser who would then teach Bond how to be a man and why he should be a good man. But then you also have the other brother, Blofeld, who chooses evil ultimately. But we don't have any context as to why one chose one path and the other chose the other path. You would think that Franz would turn out to be the good guy and Bond, the orphan whose parents were killed, who's bitter at the world, would turn to evil. Give us some flashbacks to solidify that so that we as an audience can follow that. Instead, you just get old Blofeld bitching for 2 hours about his dead dad, who we have no context.
Uh-oh. Someone has some daddy issues.
So it just ends up being so flat where it could have been great. Remember in Batman Begins specifically, he almost took revenge against the guy who killed his parents. That would have been him choosing the path of evil because he felt like he'd been f***ed over by existence itself. This would have helped Skyfall even. This would have helped all of the Daniel Craig movies to give us a context as to why Bond became a good person. Again, why become criminal? Without that, Bond arbitrarily chooses good. Well, why? When you had the opportunity, you literally go back to his childhood home. You literally then have this father figure who mentored him. You had all this fruit you could harvest as to why James Bond is good and not evil, and you don't capitalize on it. Instead, you just have Blofeld bitching about his dad, who we never meet. We talk a lot about wasted opportunities. This is like the number one wasted opportunity ever.
The way that they position Blofeld's source of his evil or his wrongdoing or his carelessness against the law or whatever you call it just boils down to my father cared more about this other boy than he cared about me. Therefore, I become evil.
For me, this is a dad issue. Dad issue! Dad! Deadbeat dad! Oh. Daddy didn't love me!
That's what it seems like it boils down to.
I don't just become evil. I create the most sinister global cabal of criminals to ever exist.
It's the plot of Austin.
So
what
ridiculous.
was it in Austin Powers? Like,
Yes.
didn't they literally do this in the last Austin Powers movie?
Dr. Evil's not your son. I am.
You both are.
What? went.
John Logan just got really drunk and watched Austin Powers and forgot that he watched Austin Powers and just started typing this whole silly brother plot.
I've seen bigger. That's
Just a little prick. It's a flu shot.
now you may feel a small
Christ.
prick.
Last time, Bond and Silva were metaphorical brothers, and that is the reason why we ranked it so high, because of
It
all the
works.
meaning
That-
there.
all that
all
stuff
works.
worked.
They weren't actual brothers. Like I said in my opener, it's like Star Wars. It's like you're literally going to say that they're related to the point where if Bond had never existed, then Spectre wouldn't exist. That's so dumb. That is so unforgivably dumb. I cannot possibly get over that. Like you're saying that Spectre wouldn't be a thing if James Bond had never been born, let alone his parents had died. That is too. I mean, I
It's
mocked
dumb.
you a little
I
bit
get it.
last time because you were basically giving Bond the Phoenix metaphor, everything reborn. And I'm like, yeah, what the f does that have to do with Bond? Bond is just a guy who defeats bad guys. He's just a spy. He's just a normal spy who's just really good at his job. To suddenly say that the very existence of Spectre and literally everything that's ever happened in all of these movies, none of it would have happened. Lashif wouldn't exist. Green, Silva, none of them would exist if James Bond had never been born. It's just too much. It's way too self-aggrandizing. It's way too self-important to be taken seriously.